Welcome to the Monarch Group Podcast. Today's guest is John Connor. No, not that John Connor from the Terminator, someone much better. He is in the business of saving homes. He's Vice President of Operations at GPAC Enterprises, a structural repair and waterproofing company serving the Louisville area. With decades of experience and a reputation for getting the job done right, John brings a ton of insight into what it takes to keep your home safe, sound, and standing strong. How you doing, John?
I'm fine. How are you, Alex?
You're here, so I'm doing delightful. Thank you. I'm doing very good. Good.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on to the podcast show, and I know you've got a lot of great insight to share with us. I know you've helped me a ton and given me so much to info and help my clients and just stuff that I learned so I can go on the day-to-day. Want to jump straight in? Tell me about yourself and your background.
Sure. Well, my name is John Connor, and my wife's name was Sarah. So for those that are really into the Terminator stuff, just chew on that for a while.
Is that actually a true story?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, my wife's name is Sarah. Now, she asked me if she needed to watch it because she's not into those kind of movies at all. And I always said, no, honey, you don't need to. Every time the doorbell rings, you don't need to think that Schwarzenegger's on the front porch. So no, you don't have to watch
But the one time you will be, you'll be like, my apologies.
She should have done it. Yeah. She should have done it. No. But I'm with GPAC Enterprises, like you said, VP of Operations. Been doing this kind of stuff for over 30 years. I've been with GPAC for about 4.5 years. I was with another foundation repair company here locally for 26 years and kind of grew up with them. And then that's where I met Stephen Edwards, who's the owner of GPAC Enterprises, and we did a lot of stuff together because I worked with United Dynamics. They did stuff that GPAC didn't. GPAC did stuff UDI didn't. And so we developed that relationship, and then after 26 years, he said, hey, why don't you come work for me? And I'm like, what are you, nuts? I've been here 26 years. I'm good. I liked where I was and still love them. Did the switch after a lot of praying and soul searching about it. And it's been a great move. And I still love everybody at UDI. They still pretend to love me. So no, we do projects together still. So it's a good group.
I know you've got a vast history, and I know you've got a lot of knowledge. So I can understand why they'd still call you and seek out some of that information.
It's nice. Yeah. It's nice to be able to have those kind of relationships to where when there is something that people call us on that we don't do, I know I can go to them. And knowing people in the industry, whether it's home inspectors or realtors like you or folks that I can just refer folks to, it really helps.
It does, yeah. It's all about who you know in this industry. That's what they say. Yeah.
That's right.
What got you started into it?
That's a great question. When we first moved here in the area, I had done some telemarketing in college. And so actually when I started with UDI, I did telemarketing for them. And so I'd call people up in jobs where crews had been working and would talk to them about, hey, we've got a crew in the area. Would you be interested in having somebody stop by? Now, this is back in the 90s. Okay, so this is, a lifetime ago. You can't do that anymore. But that's how I got started with a foundation repair company because, my degree is in math. I went to college with the idea of becoming a high school math teacher. Construction or any construction-related industry was not in the making for me, so that's not something that I had in mind. So that's how I got into it and just kind of learned the business and learned it literally from the ground up or below ground up, really. And then just kind of grew into it and studied and it started off with interacting with people. That's the thing. That's where it all started. And studying to be a teacher in college helps me when I'm talking with clients and educating them on what's going on at their house. Because most people, they know it, they understand it, but they just haven't thought about it. You start steering them in the right direction, and they're just like, oh, yeah, I get it. I see what's happening. So it kind of... It helps to take some of the sting out of it. We're there to fix something. It's a good thing for us to do. They need our help. They don't know what to do. And when you can kind of lead them and show them, okay, this is what it is, and that's where teaching background kind of helps out with that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that in your industry because there's a lot of, I'm sure there's companies out there that just go, this is what you need, but that gap in between of why and how, it's just...
Yeah, there's a lot, there are no cookie cutter solutions. That's something that we really pride ourselves on. Everybody's house is different. Everybody's situation is different. It's different if I'm talking to a homeowner that's just called me because they were referred to us for some issue or problem, or if I'm working on something with you in a real estate transaction. There's a whole list of things that come into it as far as the decision-making process about what gets done, what doesn't, what needs to happen first or last. There's a lot of different things that come into it. So having a background where you're not jumping in just saying, okay, this is what I do, and this is how I do it every time, and this is the way I always look at it, and I'm going to sell this no matter what, and you can't operate like that.
No, and that's that. I mean, that's how you turn people away as well, because they sense that sort of stuff. If you're not really there for them, they sense it real quick. So, So you've been with GPAC now for a few years now.
Yeah, 4.5. The company's been around for over 20 years.
Okay.
And Stephen Edwards is the owner of the company. I mean, he's been doing this, I think, since he was maybe 6 months in the womb, pretty much. So now he's been doing that. His father was Bill Edwards, started Edwards Building Movers in Shelbyville in 61. Stephen, I think, was hatched the same year I was in 66. So, I mean, as a kid, he grew up in that business. So he's been working on houses and picking them up and moving them 14 miles and putting them on new foundations since he was a kid. You know, he'd ride the roof and get the electrical line over the chimney in the middle of the night and stuff like. I mean, it's a different childhood, but that's what he lived. And so out of that grew GPAC Enterprises, which we don't move houses, but we do shore them up, pick them up, change out foundation. You know, we do a lot of different things where all of that kind of information and that kind of experience comes in real handy to where we can do things that other companies are like, I'm not going to touch that, you know. And so we're like, yeah, we did that last week and the week before. We're fine.
Yeah.
We got it.
And speaking of things that you do and other companies don't, what is it that sets GPAC apart from the other company? Not just the work that you can do, but in an overall sense. Yeah,
I mean, I would say it does. It comes down to, yes, the experience and the wide ranging experience. You know, I came in with foundation repair and waterproofing and that kind of thing. He had building moving, all the structural issues, and that's really what people know us for mainly as far as the kind of repairs that we do are, you know, main beams. You think about wood, main beams, joists, sill plate, band board, those kind of repairs that, you know, working in crawl spaces, stuff that a lot of people don't want to do, that's what we do, you know, and we're used to that. So all kinds of waterproofing. When we do foundation repair, you know, whereas other companies, if there's settlement and they drive piers and stuff, you know, we're not involved in that aspect of it, but we work on a lot of older homes, and this is something that kind of sets us apart because we work on new homes that have issues. We work on homes from the 1800s, you know, and things where we're shoring up if there's stone walls or brick foundations, or it's post and beam foundations and there's been damage to the wood in between the beams. We know how to handle that. If it's brick, we know how to handle that. If it's stone, we know how to handle that. So those are the kind of expertise that we bring to the table that a lot of companies don't have. Plus, we're not, like I say, we don't have a cookie cutter way of doing things. So every house, every person, it's the slate's clean. Let me learn about you. You know, what's going on, tell me what's happening, and then we work together to figure out the best way to take care of it.
Wow. And then when you do figure that out, so you go to someone's house, they've seen an issue, what's your general step-by-step of how you assess and like figure out what's going on?
Sure. I mean, of course, it starts off with the first phone call. And, you know, if people call, they're talking to me, I'm getting as much of a feel and you know, good information for them as I can to make sure that we're even a good fit, you know, for what they have. And then I'll come in, take a look. First thing I do is listen. Show me around. Show me what you're seeing. What's causing you, you know, the headaches at night? What's keeping you up? What's the issue? And so I'll let them show me. And a lot of times, especially like if it's a crawl space situation, they just know, well, there's a dip in the floor here, or I can see a gap under my baseboard, you know, this big on the front corner. And you know, I don't have X-ray vision, but I know going in, okay, this is probably caused by this. This is probably caused by this. And then I'll talk to them about it. I'll talk to them about what we're seeing, some possible explanations for it. If it's a crawl space situation, I'll say, all right, I'm going to go underneath there. You're welcome to join me. Nobody ever takes me up on that. Well, in all the one, there's always the one guy. But most people don't take me up on it. No. But I'll say when I go underneath, oh, well, you're game all the time, Alex. I mean, you're like, please let me come under.
You have to pull me out of there. I can barely contain myself. I want to get under the crawl space. Right.
Yeah, I think we usually have to tie a rope around your ankle to pull you out because you don't get me started. But anyhow, so you go underneath there, but I can, I'll tell them, okay, what we're seeing, it's probably either this or this or this. Let me go down, take a look, see what it is. I'm taking pictures. I'm showing them what it is because, again, they're not going to go underneath there. So I try to put them at ease and say, okay, here's what it is. Here's what we've got. And then, again, going back to the listening part, knowing what their situation is. Are they looking for as getting everything done that we possibly see? Or is it just one specific issue? Because, look, every crawl space, every basement, you put a person like me in there, can I see things that are not right? Sure. I'm driving down the road and I'm seeing houses like, oh, well, there's this issue that's going on. And I'm just looking straight ahead because you just know after this time, you know things are happening. And so, but that doesn't mean everything has to get fixed right now. Or if it's a situation where it's a real estate transaction, some things are going to be important to people, some things aren't. And it's all, in that case, it's what's going to make the deal come together. What's important to that buyer? What are they requiring of the seller to get done? All right, let's deal with that. Because again, I could go in and I could tick, 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 find all sorts of stuff. Yeah. And that's what the home inspector's job is. As they find it, say, call somebody. Find this, call somebody. That's the report. Yeah. And I'm the somebody.
Yeah. Which I'll always recommend. John, you be the somebody. That's definitely got my vote there. Yeah. I think that what you said there makes a big difference as well, because at the end of the day, foundation structure work, it's not cheap. And some people are on limited budgets. And I think that's a great thing for you and GPAC, that you can go in and say, look, here's a list of things you could do. Here's what I recommend you could do. And I think that rather than, I'm sure there's companies out there who say, nope, you need this, and it's a yes or no. But that's just, not everyone's in that situation.
Yeah. And, that is something, again, another thing that separates us from a lot of other companies. There's a lot of great companies that are out there. There's some companies that, they're trying to hit a home run when it's a single. There's one thing that's wrong. Let's deal with that. And they're going in and just scaring people to death. Or in a real estate transaction, just blowing up a deal.
Yeah.
I want to have the reputation with realtors that when we go in, look, I'm going to give you an honest assessment. I'm telling the seller's agent the same thing that I'm telling the buyer's agent, because the truth is the truth. Here it is. Now what's the best way for us to figure out how to deal with it? So I try to be as non-alarmist as possible. And, people are worried, especially if it's a crawl space or there's an issue with the floor. So, am I going to fall through? No, you're not going to fall through. But, I wouldn't put your gun safe in the middle of the room where the joist is the weakest. I wouldn't put it there. Let's think about a different place to put that. And often there are simple things that people can do. And I know we've talked about this a bunch before. Water issues, gutters, downspouts, those are issues that cause problems. Why are things happening? A lot of times it's, water, it's insects, it's, settlement of soil. Those are the things that we get called out on. And often there's simple things that people can do. Why is water getting into my crawl space? Well, the fact that your gutters have a garden growing in them and you see a waterfall coming over, that may have something to do with it. Let's get that cleaned out.
Yeah. It's sometimes it's the smaller things that create the bigger issues.
Absolutely. Because, once the water's hitting year after year after year, it's just rotting that wood out. Or it's making the wood soft to where wood destroying insects like termites and stuff. Oh, it's good eating. If you ever seen Joey Chestnut on the 4th of July, he's dipping those hot dogs in the water, and that's so he can get it down. Well, termites are the same thing. Yeah. It's wet wood. Oh man, I'm on that all day. That's what they're thinking. So they're going to eat it.
Yeah.
So don't do things that invite them.
Mm.
So the simple things like that. And there's plenty of times I'll go out and talk with folks and say, hey, look, why don't you do these simple things, see what kind of an effect that has. Could we do something that's going to cost a lot of money? It'll fix your problem. Absolutely, it's going to fix your problem. But is that money that you need to spend or not? If it is, I want to be the one that you work with, and we'll get it done. We'll get it done right. But if there's something simple, especially if it's in like one spot, if people have a crack in their basement wall and it's leaking, and I go outside and I look and there's a downspout that's dumping right there. Well, let's not feed that crack. Okay, let's direct that water elsewhere. Every crack isn't going to leak, but every crack can potentially leak.
Right.
So do the simple things. See if that takes care of it. If it does, great, fine. I'm still in business next year.
Yeah.
If you have the issue, then you call me and I'll take care of it. So it's those kind of simple things, and that's how we've built a reputation. That's how Stephen built it before I was there. That's how we build it together. Through the years, we've grown as a company. We've matured. We've become better and better and more effective for our clients. And the area that we work in, I mean, we're a local company. We're based in LaGrange, but we do work in Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia. We work with property management companies, helping them with their buildings. We work, commercial stuff. We work with residential, issues. We work with like termite companies, and we're the structural repair company for them in 4 states. And so we'll go around and take care of all those issues where we're taking down drywall, fixing the studs, top plate, bottom plate, getting everything back together, painting, and putting it back where it's supposed to be when it's done. Yeah, and they're like, "Oh wow, this is great." But that's what we do.
Yeah, I know you've definitely got your miles in from driving, because I know you go all over the place.
Yes, I get a lot of miles in.
Yes, yeah. So with you having such a wide area that you do work in, obviously we're mainly focused here in Louisville, but you go all across the state. What are the typical things you're seeing at the moment, especially with how weather's been changing? What are you seeing out there that most homeowners are facing at the moment?
I would say, of course, back to, water issues. We've had a very, wet year so far. We've had a lot of rainfall, and there's been times where, when it does rain, it comes in buckets. And so we'll see a lot of water. And that, again, gets back to gutters, downspouts, that kind of thing. So, yes, water issues have been a big thing this year. So we've done a lot of waterproofing jobs. The other thing that I'd say we've seen more of this year are walls that are bowing in, whether it's basement walls that are block or poured walls that are pushing in. It's a result of hydrostatic pressure, a lot of moisture in the soil. When our soils are clay, they expand, they put pressure, lateral pressure on walls. We actually had a winter this year, so
it's awful.
That's great. I'm from New York, so it's beautiful. It's wonderful. You're a hockey guy. Come on.
Yeah, that's by choice that I'm in the cold, okay? When it snows and it's ice, that's not by choice, okay?
Yeah.
I don't like to be forced upon cold weather.
That's
ice
right.
hockey, that's different.
That was one of the most wonderful things I learned about you in our years together, is like, you're a hockey guy. I never would have thought about that.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't imagine, just doing hockey, just playing hockey. I can't even ice skate. But to do that, have a stick and have 2 blades on my feet that could slit anybody's throat in any moment. I can't imagine doing that. And you've mastered it.
I wouldn't say mastered it. I'm getting better at not falling down. That's what I like to say.
Well, that's helpful.
Yeah, it's a start.
I'm sure your teammates appreciate that.
They do. Yes.
Hey, look, he's not falling. Good.
They've got a tally chart, and they're like, "Oh, there he goes again." Yeah.
But back to what we're talking about. In the wintertime, when the ground's really, really wet and it expands and there's a hard freeze, it puts even more pressure on. So because we had a winter this year, we are seeing more basement walls that are settling or pushing in, laterally. So, we're seeing more of that this year than last year or the year before.
I know, especially with the rains that we had here. I mean, there was like 1 in 100-year rain or whatever it was, and I'm sure your phone was ringing off the hook during then. And I know you helped a few of my clients out with their issues that they had going on, and it was awful. I'm not a fan of it.
Well, but that's why we're here. That's why we're here. We're not here for the good times. I don't go looking at the nice houses that have no problems. I go out and look at the bad ones, the ones that have issues. So,
So with all those problems, then what should homeowners be looking for? Because I know, like for me, I help a lot of first-time home buyers, and they might not know the signs to look for. What would you say are the sort of telltale signs that something needs to be looked at?
I mean, it's the stuff that you would think. If you see cracks in drywall, if you see, cracks in your foundation outside, a lot of it depends on the makeup of your structure. What kind of a foundation does it have? If you're seeing, like say, floors that are settling where there's gaps, baseboards hanging up, but the floor's dropping out from underneath it. Okay. Or you're seeing in the center of the house, if that hallway, you're feeling it kind of wavy as you're going back and forth in there. You're seeing doorways crack or doors that don't open and close. If there's a door that sticks during a certain part of the year and then it doesn't at another part of the year, that can be a sign that there's something that we need to look at. Roof leaks. There's just all those different kind of things. That's stuff that people can watch, and usually it's stuff that people see and they know, boy, something's not right. Or if on the outside of their house they're seeing that their siding, the brick or the vinyl siding has a stain coming down, and it's oh wow, that coincides with where I'm feeling a problem inside. Those are the kind of signs that they would look for, and usually stuff like I say, people notice. And they know something's not right, but they don't know the next step to do. They don't know, maybe I should call somebody about this. Because it's easy to just kind of let that be that way and not do something until it becomes a big issue or until they're going to go sell the house. And then something that they could have taken care of, very simply years ago is now an issue that's going to cause them, cause problems and cost them money just to sell the house. Or prices have to be adjusted or things like that.
Got it. And that's sometimes a little overwhelming for homeowners to look at. And for those homeowners, obviously they can look around all they want, but some of them, I don't know if this is true, but maybe scared or hesitant to call a company like GPAC that they might think, is it going to cost me a bunch of money just for that? Do they have it? I mean, is it an option for homeowners calling and be like, hey, I'm really not sure. Could you just come and check out my home for me?
Yeah, we give free estimates. And like I say, a lot of times when I'm talking with people on the phone, I'll say, hey, take a picture of what you're seeing, and text it to me. And, that's one thing that's changed, in the today as opposed to 30 years ago when I started. Hey, take a picture, text it to me, take a movie, text it to me, email it to me, show me what you're seeing, and I'll let you know if I think it's something that, could be an issue, is an issue, something I should come out and do, to take a look at. Like I say, we give free estimates, so it's not a problem. With all the people that we work with our clients and the referrals that we get, I'll have people just call and say, look, my neighbor had this issue. I kind of see the same thing. I don't know if it's a problem or not, and that's the way I'll handle it. Well, because I'm going all over the place anyhow. So usually, I'm going to be in your area, next Tuesday. Yeah. Are you around? And I'll take a look or send me the pictures, and I'll say, yeah, it's something I need to look at, or no, it's probably this, or try this and let me know. You've got my number, give me a call. So yeah, that's the best way for folks to handle it, is to look at it, give me a call, talk to me about what you're doing. If there's an issue, something I need to come out, I'll come out and take a look at it. We'll figure it out.
I think that's a great option to have, because I'm sure in a lot of those scenarios, like especially when you get to like older parts of Louisville, where it's like, I know we've been somewhere you're like, well, it's not great, but it's probably been like this for many years. So at least giving people the peace of mind. And, the worst that situation is there is something, but then you want to know about anyway. So it's not really the worst case scenario if there is something.
Right.
So I would definitely recommend homeowners to give you a call, even if they're not sure, just to check it out.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in a 100-plus-year-old farmhouse in upstate New York, a little town with more cows than people east of the Finger Lakes. There are places that curve in the house that I grew up in that have been that way. We moved in when I was 6 months old. I don't remember anything before then. It still has the same curve. It still has the same lean in those places. That's the character of the house. And so there's a lot of older homes around that are like that. And, like I say, we work on brand new homes. We've done projects for, we worked on the house, the first governor of Kentucky was Isaac Shelby. His son, James Shelby, if I'm remembering that. I'm from upstate New York. I'm from the country part of New York. I'm not born and bred here in Kentucky. But I tell everybody, New York's a big state. Basically everything other than New York City is Kentucky with a northern accent, okay? So it's very rural, very country. But we worked on his son's house that he built south of Lexington, 36-foot square stone walls, basement cellar underneath, and they had termite problems, of all things. But the wood, like you were just mentioning, old wood, it petrifies. And so you can have a problem, but it's a true 2x14 in that case. The joists were true 2x14s, spanning 18 feet on the joists, and they had issues. So there's stuff that we did there, but you go in another place where the span isn't as much, but it's old wood and stuff, and it's like, well, it's leaning a little bit. Yeah, how long has it been like that? Well, ever since we bought it. Okay.
Has it changed?
Has it changed? What's the deal? And if it hasn't changed, it's like, well, that's part of the character of the house. Or when somebody's coming to buy it, well, this leans. Yes, it probably leaned like that for 120 years.
Yeah.
And
some people are just giving them the peace of mind to know that as well.
That's right.
That's all they need. And if someone does see something and they're wanting to get it looked at, what should they look for in the company that they're going to work for? That's going to work for them.
Yeah. What they need to look for is GPAC on the side of the truck. That's what they need to look for.
I can second that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's softball. Thank you. That was nice. You have to look for somebody trustworthy. And, again, the industry that we work in, I know folks that do, mold abatement, mold remediation. I know folks that do this and that. And the folks I work with are folks that treat their customers the same way that we treat them. They're honest. They're going to go in. They're going to give them a good analysis of what's happening. They're not going to oversell. They're not going to, if they have an issue on one part of their main beam that termites got to, okay, we need to replace this section. We don't have to replace the entire thing. There are times where we've had to replace the entire thing. I've got a crew that's working right now over in the Frankfurt Avenue area. It was a termite problem, and we thought it only extended so far. Got drywall cut down, looked at it, and we had to do the whole thing. Wow. That happens, but that's why we've got the experience that we have. So yeah, getting back to your question, just honesty, not overselling. If somebody comes in, if a company comes in and they've got high pressure sales tactics of, hey, if you sign today, we'll give you a 10% discount, but you've got to sign right now. Here's the pen. Throw the pen back in their face. That's what I would tell people. If it's a problem that's been there, it's probably been there for a while. If any company comes in and says, you've got to sign this right now, or we've got a special deal, going on, it is what it is, right? So just don't deal with companies like that. That's your sign that, okay, well, thank you. I'm not going to do that. I'm getting a lot of estimates, whatever. Right. But yeah, don't deal with high pressure sales tactics. It's just, that's not the way that we do business, or the companies that we work with. It's just, that's a sure sign that that's a no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a no. Don't do that.
And there's one thing which you didn't mention, which I'll say, is that the company shows up. You always show up. Every time I've called you, you've always showed up. And that's a huge factor that people should definitely take into consideration.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And yes, that is important. And, as busy as we are, it's a struggle sometimes to get all the work done just to get back with people. So, okay, here's what we're looking at. Here's what we're looking at, because every house is different and it takes time. And you want to actually do an assessment of here's my plan for your house and here's the options. And we could do A through C, or we could do A and C, skip B for now, or we just need to do A, and here's the priorities. And when you lay it out for folks like that, it does take time. You can't just, if you're not a cookie cutter company, then you actually care enough to say, here's what it's going to be. And as I'm talking to people, like going into crawl space, I'll say, look, I'm one guy. I'm one old guy with a flashlight. And I'm going to look and I'm going to see and I'm going to give you everything I can do. But when my guys get underneath there and we've got floodlights going, they may see something else. And if they do, we'll deal with that. And we'll say, okay, this is what we see, and we'll make the best decision. Pardon me, we'll make the best decision at that point for you. Or if it's a real estate transaction, okay, we got to talk with everybody, and however it is, look, we live in Realville. It is what it is. So you deal with it. You make the best decision that you can as you go.
How many crews do you have?
Anywhere from 2 to 5, depending on how many we're sending out to each job and the kind of work that it is. So
a lot of crews. That's a lot of people you've got.
It keeps us busy. Yeah, it keeps us busy.
So you're not from here.
Nope.
So what do you love about living here, about working here? Louisville and Kentucky.
Yeah. We moved here in the early 90s. So, I mean, I live over in southern Indiana. So my boys are Hoosiers, right? They were born in Indiana. But, growing up in New York, upstate New York, I lived in Florida for a little while, lived in North Carolina for a little while, went to a college in Virginia. When we first moved here, we were in an apartment building off Westport Road, so I was a Louisvillian for a period of my life. All right, I did move over to the sunny side. Sorry, but that's our church was over there, and so that's where that's where my work was at that time. So I still live in southern Indiana, but I love the Louisville area because it has everything. Where I live. If I want all the downtown Louisville stuff, 15 minutes away, I'm there. If I go 10 minutes the other direction, I'm in remote, hills rolling into hills, forest. It's anything that you need, anything that you want is in this area. And it's good people. Kentucky, Indiana, this area, Louisville, the surrounding areas. Yes, we do work, outside of that all over, but just this region, it's a beautiful place. You got 4 seasons. Some people like it, some people don't. It's nice. It's good. Most people, the folks that you encounter, they're friendly. As I'm going into homes, every day, everybody's got a different story, and it's fun to learn where they're from. I always, are you from this area? Because a lot of people have moved in, you get a lot of folks that are here and then gone and back and stuff. Most people that I talk to, they love it. They love Louisville, and there's a lot of reason to, so it's a good area to raise a family. You got great schools, you got, universities, you've got businesses, it's just, it's always a struggle for every city to grow, and to grow well and to grow in a smart way. But that's the challenge that every city has. Yeah. So, okay. And whatever's happened before or not happened, great. Today's a new day. What are we going to do today? And that's what I see happening. And I see things growing, and I see things improving. And I hope, as people give grace to each other and kind of learn from each other and grow as a city and think about us as a region, it will be fine.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
That's a great summary. That's a great answer to that question.
Oh, well,
I feel like you got a cheat sheet somewhere
No.
with those answers. That was good. I'm going to send that to Louisville and be like, hey, if you need a new commercial for Louisville and Southern Indiana, here you go. I've got you taken care of.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's for Louisville, they'll say, well, you got to move here first. So I was like, well, okay.
You're like, hey, I had a condo off of Westport Road. You're like, back in the day, that counts. I checked off the box.
That's right.
Nice. I like the answer. So final real question. Well, I've got two, but quick one. So as a homeowner, top 3 cheat sheet must-dos to keep your home safe.
To keep it safe. Yeah, from damage.
Yes, from having you be called out.
Okay. So how not to see me. Okay,
Yes.
Let me come up with that. I mean, it's number one, the biggest danger, the most common danger people face is going to be water damage. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say, gutters and downspouts. There was a job that I was looking to get started in LaGrange tomorrow, but I went over to check and there's water in the crawl space 3 inches deep, because of the rains that were here. And I said, hey, we got to get that pumped out. I can't have my guys slopping around in the mud. We work in dirty conditions and that's fine. I can't have them swimming. So that's, so gutters, downspouts. Why was that happening? Because downspouts were dumping and water was going in. They're going to get that taken care of so we can get that work done, right? So, that's number one is gutters and downspouts. Make sure water is getting carried away from the house because that just can cause a lot of issues. So that's number one. Honestly, after that, it's the stuff that we talked about. Be aware, of what's happening. Just be mindful. If if you see something, say something. When you notice something's wrong, or you're hearing the creak, or you're seeing a door doesn't work anymore, or those kind of things. It's just being cognizant of what's happening around you. Or a lot of times, like I say, it'll be a neighborhood thing. That if there's a neighborhood, if there's a water issue, it'll happen that way. If there's a wood damage, that's happening that you're not aware of, even if it's a basement, there's times where there's going to be failures that happen in wood. I've got a floor that's settling towards the outside wall. Well, let's go take a look at that sill plate and see if something's gotten into it. If it's water, insects, something that's happening, or joist tips that are rotting. So it's just being aware and catch it before it is a big thing. I'll have people call me on stuff that I'll go out and it's like, I wonder why the builder built it that way. That's just weird. It's just, and a lot of times it's because a homeowner, like if this isn't a brand new home, these folks have been here for 7 years, right? And they're saying something, and I'll come out. It's like, well, a previous homeowner for some reason did X, Y, Z. Don't know what was in their mind. Don't know why they did that. Or you'll see a repair that was done that's like, that wasn't done by a professional. Okay. That's, you and I have talked before, that's 3 cousins in a case of beer right there that handled that.
You've definitely seen that.
Yeah. So, and people say, well, is it okay? Well, it's not right. Now, if it's a home sale thing, no, that's probably not going to fly. If you're going to live there, it may not be right. Could it be sufficient for the moment, or for this year, or for 5 years? Or I might come back in 20 years and it's 3 cousins in a case of beer did it and it worked and it's there. It's not a problem for you while you're living there. Okay. Right. But when you go to sell, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
Then it's a problem. Yeah. So, do you want to do it now or do you want to do it in 20 years?
Yeah.
Or like when we've been together on different real estate transactions, I'll talk to the buyers and I'll say, okay, because they'll see all these issues that ticked up on the home inspection report, and they'll have me come out and look at it. I'll say, yeah, it's not right. This isn't quite right, or if it's an older home, it leans and whatever, and we have those conversations. The question I ask them is this a 5-year house for you, or is this a 20-year house for you?
Good question.
Because if it's 5 years, in 5 years, you're going to be on the other side of the transaction. And the sellers or the buyer is going to be making you do something about this. So then that puts it in a different light. Is this an investment property? That's a big change over the 30 years, that I've been doing this. It used to just, mainly it was homeowners, and stuff that I'd be going, or real estate transactions or things like that. Now it's, this is an investment property. Okay. Is this a rental or is this a flip? Because that's a different way to look at it. It's a whole different set of circumstances. Is this an issue for you if it's a rental property? If you take care of these other things, is this going to bite you? Not necessarily. It may be something in 10 years. Okay, yep, I got to take care of it in 10 years. But for right now, let's get these other things fixed, get these things rented, have it be the investment that you want, a successful investment for you. Great. If this is a flip, or I'll have, folks that do flips that'll call me to say, okay, I'm thinking about buying this house. Okay. Is this a flip? Yes. This isn't the right house for you. This is not a house to flip. Right. So, that's where I like to say every situation is different. And that's a big change that I've seen over the years, is just a lot more homes that I'm looking at are investment properties. And so it just brings a whole different list of questions and answers to that situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we definitely see a lot of it. And I know with everything that has been changing in the market over the last few years, definitely seen a whole bunch of different scenarios. Yeah. So if someone's gone through doing everything they can to keep their home safe, but something happens, what's the best way they can get hold of you?
Call me. Cell phone number's 502-643-3704. If you call the office number, it goes to my cell phone. Okay. So,
just cut out the middleman there and just go straight to you.
That's right. 225-4458, 502-225-4458. That's the office number. It'll ring once there and then go to my cell phone. Nice. So if you want to have a noise happen in my office, call the office number. Okay, yeah. If you want to just call my cell phone number, call the cell phone number. If you want
a bit of fun, you call the office.
That's right.
Get them.
Now, understand that when I'm with people, I'm not going to answer the phone. So you may go to a voicemail. It's okay. You can also text me at that number. My email is john@GPACenterprises.com. You can email me. Carrier pigeons, if that's your thing, use it. We're in LaGrange. Hopefully it gets there, but if you contact me, I will get back with you. We'll figure things out. But that's the best way is just, go to our website, GPACenterprises.com. There's a web form that they can fill out there. I was going to say another big change. I mean, people find us through all the different apps, problem apps or whatever that genre is.
The rainy day apps.
Yeah, the rainy day apps. I've got a problem in my house apps.
Yeah.
And so all those different services, and you can find us at all those. Nice. And so people will go there, and a lot of people find us that way. So that's another way that they can do that. But the most direct way is just, call.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I always hope that nobody ever has to call you.
That's right.
But in the situation they do, I definitely recommend they call you. And John, I want to say thank you for everything you've done for me and my clients, and thank you for being on today. And it's great to see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. So to all those watching, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.